Will you check under the bed and make sure there's no Disney executives under there?
I promise there's not.
Have you ever seen someone get paid millions of dollars to destroy their own movie? Well, that's what happened to Rachel Zegler, whose constant controversial statements and her outspoken hatred of the original Snow White created a media storm that Disney just couldn't put out. And now even South Park has jumped in with one of the most brutal roastings that Disney has ever suffered. And apparently Rachel Zegler has not been taking this well behind the scenes. So we all know by now that Snow White has flopped bigger than a Sunday pancake at the box office, but if we take a look back, it's clear that Disney has been on this decline with their live action remakes for a long time now. And this is due to their obsession with inclusion and diversity and their need to race or gender swap every single beloved character that they can think of, regardless of if it makes sense or not. And with Snow White, they took this to a new level with choices such as casting a Colombian actress to play Snow White, who is described in the 1937 classic as having skin light as snow. There was also the horrible CGI dwarves in a live action movie, which makes no sense at all.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
And changing absolutely everything about the storyline that made everyone love it in the first place, such as getting rid of the prince.
Saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
So with Disney shooting themselves in the foot, South Park saw it as the perfect opportunity to roast them into oblivion. So they did this with their Joining the Pandaverse special, and South Park, like always, had absolutely no mercy and basically said what everyone's been thinking for months.
Mom, I had a dream that I was replaced by a diverse woman.
Oh, not again.
The South Park characters were turned into diverse women of color as a parody of modern day Hollywood, being obsessed with hitting diversity and inclusion targets at any cost. The episode absolutely roasted Disney for throwing away plot lines and making their classics nearly as bad as a recent Adam Sandler movie. And the message from South Park was very clear, that Disney has been too busy pandering and trying to be woke that they forgot about just telling a good and entertaining story, and Rachel Zegler was right in the crosshairs in this episode. Because everyone is for diversity in cinema, and I personally would be all for seeing more diversity. But Disney have chosen to go about it in an entirely wrong way that just feels extremely forced and in some cases makes no sense at all, just so they can put a tick next to the diversity and inclusion box. Rather than being genuinely diverse and inclusive, it all seems very hollow. And it's not like Disney didn't see this coming with Snow White. It was very obvious that this controversy was coming for months, but Disney decided to ignore all the fans and go ahead with their destruction of one of their classics anyway. And it wasn't just the fact that they cast a Colombian actress to play Snow White, there was their decision to replace the 7 dwarves with 7 random, more diverse people who looked like they'd just walked out of a bad Halloween party. And then this would all be for nothing, as Disney would do an embarrassing U-turn on this decision at the last second. All of this was an effort by Disney to be modern and reimagine Snow White with contemporary, culturally appropriate values, such as removing the prince and half of the storyline along with him, because according to them, it was not compatible with modern values. So Disney literally gave South Park all the ammunition they needed to absolutely roast them to ashes, and South Park, they took full advantage of this to dunk on Disney at every opportunity, because it was as simple as saying, if you change everything about Snow White, such as the characters, the storyline, everything that people loved about it in the first place, what's even the point? It's no longer Snow White, but just a hollow shell of what it used to be. And South Park nailed this message down with ease, and they made it absolutely hilarious at the same time. There's one thing for sure, South Park never fails to take advantage of a corporate giant like Disney walking themselves off a cliff. And Rachel Zegler didn't do herself any favors either, and was practically asking South Park to roast her after her movie flopped. And it didn't help that she told half the country not to see her movie.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button. I don't need your business. Thanks.
And also going as far to say that the classic prince was a stalker and even suggested cutting out her male co-star entirely from the script.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
So no prince or a different kind of prince?
We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story just because like we cast a guy in the movie.
Right.
Andrew Burnap, great dude.
Yep.
It's one of those things that I think everyone's going to have their assumptions about what it's actually going to be, but it's really not about the love story at all, which is really, really wonderful. And whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
Like, yikes. It's almost as if Rachel Zegler was creating controversy on purpose, because on the internet, fans were absolutely furious at her snarky attitude and her clear distaste for the original film. Like, what is the point of being in a movie that you hate everything about and instead want to turn it into something it's not? And South Park took aim at this too, throwing comedic jabs left and right about having so much distaste for the original movie that you don't upgrade it but you make it unrecognizable instead, and it was absolute comedy gold. It was like Disney was trying so hard to avoid any controversy at all, with the dwarves to a Colombian Snow White to an empowering feminist story, that they actually got the exact opposite and stirred up a ton of controversy, while South Park, on the other hand, they're not afraid of offending anyone, and it comes across a lot more authentic, and the audience definitely seems to take notice of this. And Disney executives are probably having nightmares at the moment, because there's rumors that they're extremely worried about South Park's cultural influence, the sort of influence that Disney no longer has. And there's rumors that executives have even reached out to South Park to try and get them to tone it down. But I don't think that will happen, because South Park is definitely not known for toning things down. And they've pretty much roasted everyone on the planet at this point. But it gets even worse for Disney, because apparently South Park is getting ready to drop another DEI episode, which after losing over $100 million at the box office, Disney really can't take any more roasting. But unfortunately for them, they've left South Park tons of material to go on. So while all the controversy with Snow White continues to go down, how's Rachel Zegler dealing with this? Well, as we know, she expected people to wait in line to see her.
That at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
Except the only line is in the comments section all over the internet, with people lining up to roast her. She expected to be praised for her bold performance as the strong leader Snow White, leading a revolution against an oppressive regime, except she totally forgot that's not what Snow White was ever about. So will Disney continue to reinvent their classics in a culturally modern way, or have they finally learnt their lesson?